Welcome to Richard and Greg, a channel dedicated to discussion, debate and argument on a whole array of topics. Just 2 days ago we published a video entitled Coronavirus Update, Pandemic Yet? And preceding days, Coronavirus Update, It's Spreading, and Coronavirus Upsetting Global Markets. And we've put links to all three of these in the description box below. Here we highlighted that equities have taken a substantial hit and gold and silver prices have risen. Well, at least until the last day or so, where we have now begun to see gold and silver prices fall back a little, while equities are still falling even further. However, today's attention is dedicated towards various news headlines, which on the whole are generally bleak, where they highlight that the virus is spreading to additional countries. So for an update, we go over to a discussion that I had with Greg just over two and a half hours ago, and my apologies in advance for the quality of the sound, certainly at my end, but unfortunately the discussion was not carried out at the Home Office, but at an outside location. Hope you enjoy it. Well, reading the main headlines today, in the United Kingdom, it's announced that hundreds of flu patients, influenza patients, are going to receive coronavirus tests from a number of surgeries and hospitals. Also, we see that several European countries outside of Italy have announced their first cases of coronavirus. And health officials have announced that the spread of the virus to the United States is inevitable. So to get the latest update, figures, and prognosis, we're going to speak to Greg. And I'm hoping he's actually on the line. Greg, are you there?
Indeed he is, and we've had yet more climate change, the sun's shining.
Okay, coronavirus, where are we?
It is much easier to face challenges when the sun is shining and the world is rosy. So let's face the challenge of coronavirus this morning. This morning's figures, which were updated at 2020 last night worldwide, are that there are 81,133 recorded cases, 2,765 deaths to date, and we also have 8,850, or 18%, who are serious or critical amongst those who have been recorded. However, I find there are various caveats that should now be introduced. Firstly, we're talking of 81,133 who have the virus. That's out of 7.8 billion. So let's not get too panicked by this situation. Deaths, 2,765. That is still, when you think in terms of the global population, minuscule. I have no idea, but I wouldn't have thought that it was far short of that in terms of how many people had a heart attack yesterday and died. And that's in just 1 or 2 days. So this must be kept in perspective. A very, very small percentage of the world population has got the virus, and a tiny, weeny, minuscule percentage have died of it. And realistically, which is something of a benefit, although for the unfortunate 2,765 who died and their families, out of 81,000 cases, that is a fairly low percentage. You're looking at around 2 to 3% of even those who get the virus dying of it. So this may well turn into a full-scale pandemic, but it is not an incredibly dangerous pandemic. It's not pleasant, but when you think that the majority of the people who have the virus have a form of flu and little more, many of them with very mild symptoms, even if this does go global at its present rate of morbidity and at its present rate of spread, which of course will increase. The more people who have it, the more people will catch it. It is not the massive threat it might have been. This is not like the Black Death, which was a previous pandemic mankind faced that killed 40% of the total population of Europe. Indeed, it is spreading. There's no doubt about it. Italy has gone from virtually nothing to 325 cases in literally a matter of 4 or 5 days. South Korea is still the worst spread after China, with 1,261 cases, and having a large number of cases, the number increased last night by 115. This has led in South Korea to 12 deaths. Japan has split its figures in two. Mainland Japan has 171 cases, but the Diamond Princess, which is a cruise ship moored off the coast of Japan, has 691. Japan has had 2 deaths, the Diamond Princess 4. So you can see that this is very proportional. However, Iran is likely to take it very seriously, because not only have they got 95 cases recorded, one is a junior health minister, and the other is a member of their parliament. So with politicians involved, I should imagine for a change the politicians are taking it seriously. There is always an element of self-interest floating around somewhere. Singapore has 91, but no deaths. Hong Kong has 85 and 2 deaths. The United States have got 57, and as yet, no deaths. However, it is rumored that that figure could be considerably higher, in that it is rumored that there are somewhere in the region of 2,000 cases of flu at the moment in Texas. And it is also claimed by some that there are only 4 states in America that have the facility and are actually checking for the virus, COVID-19. So I think these are somewhat suspicious figures. There are claims amongst quite a number of Americans that the figures are being suppressed because there is a fear on the part of the Trump government that it would damage Trump's re-election prospects, which at the moment are looking very good for lack of competent rival from the Democrats. Thailand has 40 from 3 deaths. I can read out many more of these, but I don't think it is very edifying when you're talking of things like Sweden. 1 person has it. Switzerland, 1 person has it. But now we see Brazil has 1. The astonishing thing that I find at the moment is that there are no cases recorded in sub-Saharan Africa, yet China has frequent flights to and fro sub-Saharan Africa, because it is heavily involved in a number of rather strange businesses, dealing at the people level in largely unregulated businesses like areas of mining, and there is obviously a presence of Chinese in the poaching of rhino for rhino horn, where China is the main export market, and also pangolin scales, where China is the main market for the poor animals, and also, obviously, ivory, where China is the principal market for stolen and poached ivory, rhinos, and pangolin. So there is a great deal of traffic between Africa and China, but no recorded cases, which I'm sorry, I just plain don't believe. I think the figures for COVID-19 are much higher than are being quoted, but I still believe that it is not something that we should get hugely exercised and frightened of. Yes, it is killing people. Every year around this planet, we have outbreaks of flu, and every year they kill people. At the moment, this virus is performing in a similar manner to flu, in that the main morbidity is amongst the elderly and infirm and those with a pre-existent condition. I understand those with diabetes and those with lung and heart disease are more prone to be in the group that die. But this is still a tiny percentage. So be aware, be sensible, increase your personal hygiene, and if you must sneeze or cough, share it with your elbow. Nobody else wants to have it. Just put your elbow across your face if you're going to sneeze or cough, and don't immediately have a tissue to hand. It won't damage your clothes, but it will stop spreading any virus that you may emit. Think of others, and you will be saving yourself in the long run. Good luck.
Okay, Greg, thank you for that. Just a couple of points. I'll just run through them first and get your reaction once I've done that. Firstly, since we last spoke, the number of recorded cases are up 2,000 and the number of deaths up just over 300. As you rightly say, it's not necessarily uncontrollable in that sense. But having said that, you did sound more alarmist when we spoke 2 days ago than you do today. But just hold that point for a moment, because as you know, I closely look at the gold and silver markets, and that to me is quite a good guide from the financial point of view as to what traders fear, for the want of a better word, or are betting on, because I know you regard it all as one casino, the direction that this market is moving towards. Now, we've seen stocks decline considerably, but we have also seen since Monday, gold in dollar terms actually peaked at $1,689 and was rapidly heading towards 1,700. But then over the last couple of days has fallen back and it's now 1,648. So that's down $41. Not huge in itself, but noticeable. Silver has had a much bigger hit. It rose to $18.95, just shy of $19, but is now currently $18.10. Now, we put out a video on our other channel, illuminatisilver.com or Illuminati Silver on YouTube. And on that, we pointed out that what many people are missing with regards to silver is that whilst it will rise with gold because of its demand as a monetary metal, as a safe haven for currencies, because as you rightly said the other day, get rid of currencies, put it into commodities. What people seem to forget is, of course, the reason the markets are behaving this way is because of their fear that global trade will be affected, and therefore the demand for silver, almost 60% is industrial demand, that will reduce, and therefore will have a downward pressure on silver, which is why, and this is for the other channel rather than this one, which is why I rally against the pumpers, because they're all saying, buy silver, it's going to $100, $200, $500, $1,000 anytime soon, knowing full well that silver is going to outperform gold short term for that very reason. So the point I'm making, the number of deaths has risen by 300. The number of recorded cases has gone up by 2,000. You've already highlighted, you cannot believe certain countries that are reporting 0 cases, that's accurate, and quite possibly America is downplaying the spread there. And in view of the fact that, as I mentioned right at the start of the case, health officials say the spread of the virus to the United States is inevitable. That doesn't mean one case, they're talking about multiple cases. So are you right to now downplay it when you were so agitated 2 days ago?
I've always said we should be aware of the consequences. One of the consequences that is indisputable and will have far more effect on people than the number of deaths is if any currency does in fact crash as a result, the fact that stocks and shares are bound to fall. When you think that SARS, which was 2003, and think of the inflation figures since then, when you're looking at the figures of value of currency, SARS led to the death of, as I recall, 774 people worldwide and cost the worldwide economy a staggering $40 billion. Well, looking at that and then looking at the 2,700, that's 2,000 more than SARS. I think we can safely say that the world economy will take a hit in the region of 200 billion as at today's figures, when all is mapped out. China is on very low production at the moment. They are even beginning to get people to go back to work and act in breach of their own curfews and controls, because it is proving so damaging to output from China. You'll find that areas of the motor industry worldwide are in a downturn because many of them are in JIT position, just-in-time ordering of items from China, and they just aren't coming out at the normal rate. So yes, there is a lot to be concerned about, but I don't think that the levels of concern are just tied to the morbidity rate and yours or my likelihood of dying of COVID-19, which I believe are going to be realistically minuscule.
Unfortunately, we had to end the discussion there as we lost our internet connection with Greg. One of the vagaries of carrying out this sort of thing away from home or the office, and Greg living in the countryside where the internet connection is not so great part of the time. Nevertheless, the key message from Greg was conveyed. It's a pandemic, but not highly dangerous to most people, but to some, and that we should not panic, but just be prepared. We shall have a further update from him later in the week. Meanwhile, we've placed links in the description box below and in the comment section of certain products available via Amazon, which may help you from contracting the virus in the first place. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if so, kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of our videos as and when they are published. And also in the description box below, we place links to certain books, articles and programs which you may find of benefit, and for which we will receive a small commission should you purchase through our link. And this will help support our channel and to enable us to develop it further.